Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Ball Don't Lie podcast. I'm Jacob Fraser, and I'll be hosting most of the shows here. This is our first episode, as I said, and today we're just going to be doing a quick breakdown of the March Madness bracket for this year's tournament. Before we get into it, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. U Sports National Championship, the Canadian version of March Madness, was this weekend, held in Vancouver here at UBC. And the UVic Vikes, just wanted to give them a quick shout out. My buddy Sergio Pereira on the Vikes scored me a hat. They won the national championship this year, so that was awesome to see. And yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to Canadian basketball. Let's dive in here. I'm joined today by my guest, Cam Connolly. He's a basketball coach at the high school level and AAU as well. Cam, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I play lots of basketball. I played in high school. I also played lots of hockey growing up, but I made the transition over to basketball. I coach lots of basketball at the high school level. Like Jacob said, I've coached for about 5 years, I believe. And now I also own my own basketball company. Shout out to Magic Hoops. We have a few teams going this spring and summer, and excited to get it going. Excited for March Madness coming up.
Awesome. Thanks, Cam. Yeah, let's dive right into it here. So I've got our bracket up. And why don't we start in the South? It seems to be the easiest place to start. Just, I guess, Auburn versus either St. Francis or
It does not matter who Auburn is playing in the first round. Auburn by 45.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd take the 45-point spread, but yeah, I would say it's pretty safe to say Auburn's taking that one. Then let's go down to the 8-9 game. This one's a little more interesting. Louisville versus Creighton. Keep in mind this game is in Lexington, Kentucky. Got them both mixed up there. But yeah, this is essentially a home game for Louisville. Can Creighton overcome that?
This game is one that I have thought about for probably the most out of any. Actually, these next two games, Louisville Creighton and Michigan UC San Diego. I am so torn. I honestly don't know. I think I'm giving the edge to Louisville, but Creighton is just so good, man. Their defense is so good with Kalkbrenner. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say Creighton could pose a threat against a team like Auburn, but I would give the edge to Louisville here as well. Just this is a home game for them. I think they're gonna have the home crowd behind them. They're gonna figure out a way to win this one. So let's pencil them in there.
Yeah, for sure.
You're excited about this Michigan UC San Diego matchup here. What do you think? I'm hearing a lot of people are saying that UC San Diego is a favorite.
Yes, well, I actually followed UC San Diego a little bit this year. One of my brother's former teammates plays for UC Irvine, so I was following their playoff pretty closely because I was cheering for UC Irvine to make it in here. But I don't know, man. Every single year, there's always a 5-12 matchup that gets hyped up. This 12 seed is going to win. It happens every single year, and every single year, the 12 seed that gets the most hype loses, like clockwork. I swear, 3 out of the 4 times last year. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. 3 out of the 4 12 seeds won, and the only 12 seed that lost was the one that everyone was picking. That's kind of why I'm honestly giving the edge to Michigan here, especially because UC San Diego has never been in the tournament before. But I don't know. It's another 50-50 game. I think I'm giving the edge to Michigan, but I don't know. I'll Michigan. That's my pick.
Yeah, before we jumped into the podcast here, we were talking about how some heated debates might come up. But as of right now, I'm giving the edge to Michigan as well for the exact same reason. I think some of these 5-12 games, they just get a little bit too overhyped for an upset. And like you said, the 5 seed ends up coming out victorious. So I'm giving the edge to Michigan as well. Let's move on to Texas A&M and Yale. I want to hear what you have to say about this matchup before I dive into it.
Ivy League school is not winning. I don't care what anyone says. It happens every once in a while, but Texas A&M, I think, is just going to overpower Yale. I could foresee a 13-4 matchup. Won't spoil which one yet, but I do not think it is this one. I think Texas A&M is going to steamroll Yale.
So this is where we disagree for the first time. I really like Yale. I think Texas A&M, they thrive off of offensive rebounding. Yale doesn't allow that. They force teams out to the perimeter. They don't allow teams to get inside. I think Yale might have it over this one. So what are we going to do here? How are we going to make a decision over this matchup?
See, the way I see it, this year there was no bid stealers across the entire March Madness. So every time I see like a 50-50, I'm leaning chalk. And I don't know. I just think Texas A&M has been better than Yale. I think they played in bigger games than Yale. I don't know. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I'm pretty sure they probably have more quad one wins than Yale as well. I personally, it's your call, your podcast. I'm picking Texas A&M.
I'll let you have this one. We can give Texas A&M. This won't be my pick in my actual bracket, but we'll give Texas A&M this matchup this time around. Let's move on to Ole Miss here against either San Diego State or North Carolina.
All right, let's not pretend Ole Miss versus San Diego State here.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, let's see who you think is going to win that first four matchup. I would agree. San Diego State, UNC probably shouldn't be in the tournament if we're being honest. So let's call it Ole Miss, San Diego State. Who do you got? I think I'm giving the edge to San Diego State.
Yeah, San Diego State seems to always like every single year they're winning at least one or two games in the tournament. So I won't disagree with you there. I do think that Ole Miss is a dangerous team that I think they could go on a run, but I don't know if I like that matchup for them against San Diego State.
Yeah, let's give it to San Diego State here then.
Especially, I think there's the one graphic. I don't know if it held true last year, but always one first four team wins at least one game in round one. Have you seen that?
Yeah, and if you remember a few years ago during the COVID season, I believe it was, UCLA was a first four team. They made a run all the way to the Final Four, and heartbreakingly, I had money on UCLA over Gonzaga, and Jalen Suggs
robbed you.
Throw up a prayer and just rob me of my money. Jalen Suggs, you owe me some money. Let's see who they'll face off against. A bunch of people like Lipscomb over Iowa State here. I'm not sold on that. What do you think?
I'm not leaning Lipscomb, but I won't be surprised if Lipscomb wins because I know that Iowa State is down their best player. At least they're supposed to be down their best player. I feel like every year there is a 14 seed that beats a 3 seed. Will it be this one? I'm not sure. I think that if it was any 14 seed to win, I think that it will be Lipscomb. I actually picked them in my first bracket, but I saw one guy on TikTok complaining that people are making too many brackets. I am one of the people that will be making too many brackets. In my official bracket, I don't think I'm going to pick them. I think I'll give the edge to Iowa State here.
Yeah, I'm also one to make the 25 max on ESPN and then max out on the Sweet 16 second chance brackets as well.
Yep.
Same. Moving on to Marquette, New Mexico here. I gotta say, I like the Lobos in this one. They've got a really high octane offense. I think they can take on Marquette.
Yeah, I have a little bit of bias in this one. I'm a CEBL fan. Teddy Allen, one of the best CEBL scorers of all time, actually went to New Mexico. And I'm always going to not believe in Marquette. They never get it done. They were the 1 or 2 seed. I think it was last year. I can't remember. And they just laid an egg. They're terrible. They're never going to win. New Mexico by 1 million.
Shout out to Jermaine Haley as well, Burnaby South Secondary alumni. He played at New Mexico State. Now Michigan State Bryant. I think this one's pretty obvious as well.
Yep. Shout out Doug Edert, St. Peter's legend, who transferred to Bryant, but
yeah,
this one's going to Michigan State.
Yeah. All right, let's go back up here. Auburn, Louisville. This one, like I said earlier, I think Creighton could pose a real threat to Auburn. I don't think Louisville can do that. I think Auburn's moving on.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl and the rest of the Auburn team, even though they had that little hiccup at the beginning of the year, they're going to the Sweet 16.
and now Michigan, Texas A&M. I mean, I I said I would have Yale here. I would have Michigan moving past them. I don't know. I don't know if I really like this matchup, to be honest with you. If you told me that it was UC San Diego Yale in the round of 32 here going up against each other, I would not be shocked.
Me
I don't
neither.
know. What do you think about this one?
This is an interesting one. I feel like every single time Michigan gets doubted, they always exceed expectations, and every single time Michigan is expected to do something, they do not come up big in the moments. I just think that Michigan is going to make it to at least a Sweet 16, and then we'll see about Auburn.
Awesome. All right. Now moving on, we got San Diego State against Iowa State here. I I think if Lipscomb can beat Iowa State, San Diego State should be able to beat them too. And I
Yes,
really believe that San Diego State is moving on to the Sweet 16.
I would have to agree. I think that if San Diego State can rattle off 2 wins in the first four and then the round of 64, there's no way that they're losing to Iowa State down their best player.
Awesome. So now we're moving on to New Mexico, Michigan State. I really like this matchup, but unfortunately, I don't see an upset coming here. I think Michigan State's just too good. Tom
Yeah,
Izzo's too good of a coach.
yeah.
This, I think Michigan State's pretty much penciled into the Sweet 16.
Michigan State as a 1 or 2 seed is almost always going to make the Elite Eight.
All right, yeah, let's move them on then. And now we're here in the Sweet 16 in the South region, Auburn versus Michigan.
I mean, I'm an Auburn believer. Auburn is going to the Elite Eight.
I've made one bracket on my own so far. I had Auburn winning it all. I'm not sure that I really think they're going to, but I definitely think they're getting past Michigan here.
Yes, I would 100% agree with that.
All right, so now San Diego State versus Michigan State. Is this where San Diego State's Cinderella run ends, or do they shock the world and move on?
Uh, I am sorry to all my San Diego State fans listening to the podcast coming out of Vancouver. This one's going to Michigan State.
Yeah, I would have to agree there. I think it's boring, but I think we're going to have a 1-2 seed matchup in the Elite Eight here.
Took the words out of my mouth. Boring, but the truth.
Now, Auburn, Michigan State. I'm curious where you would go here.
All right, so I have a little bit of bias. I fell in love with Auburn in 2019. I actually was watching an Auburn game. I can't even remember who they were playing, but I was watching Auburn in December, and I decided, you know what, these guys are my national champion. They went in as the 4 seed to the tournament. They played, I can't remember who they played in the first round, but they won off an airballed buzzer beater, and they made it all the way to the Final Four. And I watched, oh, what was his name? Bruce Brown. I watched Bruce Brown foul Kyle Guy in the corner, and Kyle Guy go 3 for 3 from the free throw line and broke my heart. Auburn back to where my heart was broken.
Yeah, I think Auburn's too good of a team. They've got Bromy. He's an unbelievable player, obviously. Yeah, I'd have to say they're moving on to the. Oop, press the wrong thing here, but yeah, I mean we can take a look at the matchup here. Record versus top 25 teams. 8-2. Surprisingly, Michigan State has a better record.
That is interesting.
The strength of schedule, the points per game. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'd have to give
Now, I
the
must
edge
say,
to Auburn.
Michigan State broke my heart also that year when they beat Zion and RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish. So I'm getting my double revenge here.
All right, now we'll come back to Auburn when we do our final four here, but let's move on to the East region in the bracket. Start with Duke versus American or whatever other team they end up playing. Like it doesn't matter.
No,
Like we said
let's
about
not
the
waste our
Auburn game,
time
it
on
doesn't
this
matter.
one.
No, it's Duke all the way. Cooper Flag or not, they're winning that first game.
100%. I would rest Cooper Flag if I was
I
in
would
charge.
too. Yeah, I would agree with that. There's no reason to play him.
I would
You're
have
gonna
him
win either
available
way.
off the bench for an emergency scenario, but if not, I'm
Yeah,
playing him 0 minutes. Coach's
if
decision.
if you're tied going into halftime, maybe throw him in there for a little bit, but
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
exactly.
Mississippi, Mississippi State and Baylor here. I like Baylor in this one.
I I agree. Once again, I
Wow.
I I'm a believer in Baylor. I don't know too much about Michigan State, but Baylor gets it done in March.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, I don't know. I like VJ Edgecombe. He's obviously going to be probably a top 5, at least top 7 pick in this year's draft. He's a great player, and I would be excited to see that matchup between Edgecombe and Cooper Flag in the round of
Yes,
32.
100% same.
Oregon Liberty. I'm curious where you would go here. I definitely lean Oregon, being
Yeah,
from the Pacific Northwest.
yep.
Gotta cheer for the other team from the Pacific Northwest. I would go Oregon here.
I also would probably take Oregon over Liberty. I am a non-believer in Liberty. They're here every single year. They lose in the first round every single year. I don't even know where Liberty is on a map, if I'm being completely honest. You could tell me that it's in the East. You could tell me it's in Texas. I have no idea. But I do know Oregon is going to destroy them by 25.
25. Wow. Um, Arizona Akron. I know my buddy, shout out Nick Hauka. He's a big Zips guy. He loves the Zips. Uses them in NCAA college football. This ain't football. Akron's losing to Arizona 20
Oh,
times out of 20 times.
Caleb Love, 40 ball. You heard it here first.
I don't know about Caleb Love 40 ball. I'm not a Caleb Love fan, to be honest with you.
Caleb
He
Love
seems to
is the
be
greatest player in college basketball.
he seems to be getting worse and worse every year.
No, actually, all bias aside, I sadly do have to agree with you. Ever since his freshman year, he's just gone down and down. I thought he should have went to the draft that first year, and every year he
Yeah,
just gets a little bit worse.
100%.
But last year they were my favorite team to cheer for, and this year they probably will be too, outside of Auburn actually. But yeah,
All right, BYU, VCU. BYU can shoot the lights out. They got Igor Denim or whatever, however you say his last name. Um, I
I'm
mean, I would go BYU here just because of their 3-point shooting threat.
I'm not even gonna fight you on this one, even if I have a different opinion than BYU. VCU doesn't really move the needle for me, and
Mhm.
obviously you're a BYU guy here, so I'll give it to BYU.
All right, we're moving on to Wisconsin, Montana. I mean, I'm curious, is this the 14-3 upset you were talking about?
This is not the 14-3 upset I was talking about. Montana, like I just said, they don't move the needle for me. I'm pretty chalk this year. This is probably the most chalk I've ever been in any of my brackets. I think that Wisco, at least in the first round, I think that Wisco is going to move on here.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, St. Mary's Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has been having an unbelievable year in their athletics department. Their football team finally played at least decent football,
Yeah.
and now they're here taking on St. Mary's in March. St. Mary's is always a tough team to go up against, but I think Vanderbilt can do it.
I 100% agree, and I like that little next matchup, that potential next matchup right there. A little bit of revenge ball,
100%.
a little bit of antagonist ball.
100%. So yeah, let's get into it. Alabama, Robert Morris. Clearly Alabama. They play the fastest pace in college basketball. Robert Morris is not going to know what to do. If you're saying Auburn by 40 or whatever you said, I'm saying Alabama by 40 here.
Alabama by 80.
All right, let's move on to Duke Baylor. VJ Edgecombe, Cooper Flag for the number 1 pick in the draft. Just kidding. Obviously, it's Cooper Flag. VJ Edgecombe might go top 5. But is it fair to say Duke is the clear favorite in this one?
I think it's beyond fair. I think it's actually factual.
Yeah.
Duke by
Yeah,
a million.
we're going
No, just
Duke.
kidding. Yes. I think that in a 7-game series, Duke wins in 4. If they play a 7-game series 7 times, Duke wins in 5 once.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I mean, Baylor, obviously, they've got a great program. They've been really good historically over the last, say, 5, 10 years. But I,
It's not their
I
year.
mean, no, it's not. Oregon, Arizona. Where are you leaning here?
Uh, I mean, I kind of showed my cards a little bit earlier on, but I'm a big Caleb Love guy. I like Arizona, and I would personally take Arizona, but I have a feeling that your opinion is going to differentiate from mine here.
It actually isn't, which usually it would, but I like Arizona this year. I think Caleb Love's going to get it done over Oregon. I'm going to have Arizona moving on to the Sweet 16 against Duke.
Wow, that surprised me actually.
BYU, Wisconsin. What are you thinking here?
I am pretty torn on this one,
Hmm.
but honestly, it just depends on if BYU's three ball is falling. Do you know where this game is? I cannot remember.
I honestly can't remember either, but yeah, I would agree with what you're saying. Like, if BYU's three balls falling, they can take a lot of teams. I don't think either of these teams have a run in them, though. Honestly,
No.
I think either of them, the Sweet 16 is the furthest they'll go.
Yep.
So I mean, it's a toss up. You can have the final say in this one.
I mean, I've been too chalk. Let's just chalk it up to BYU for fun.
All right, sounds good. All right, Vanderbilt, Alabama. Like you said, little revenge game. Who you got?
All right. My heart is telling me Vanderbilt, but my brain is telling me Alabama. I love the underdog Vanderbilt story with the we're gonna see you next week and we're gonna show y'all some real SEC ball. And they finally got it done this year. But I think that Alabama finally puts the lid on the Vanderbilt run of terror and probably gets it done quite handily.
Yeah, I like I said about the Robert Morris game. Alabama just plays too fast. Their offense is too good. I don't think Vanderbilt stands a chance, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I
So
think that Vanderbilt might have beat them once this year. I might be wrong. They beat someone good this year, but I don't think they can do it again.
yeah, Vanderbilt has some good wins this year. But yeah, I think when the lights are as bright as they are at March Madness, it's just going to be
Way
Alabama all the
different.
way.
Way different.
All right, Duke, Arizona. Now,
Uh,
historically, Duke chokes.
yes, but
I
historically,
honestly,
Arizona also chokes.
that is true. I think I'm taking Arizona. Duke is too young. Cooper Flag, this will be his last game in college basketball. I know that people are saying, "Oh, maybe he'll stick around for a second year." Makes no sense to do that. This
No,
is, in my opinion, this is Cooper Flag's last game in college basketball, and unfortunately, it's a loss at the hands of the University of Arizona.
I would disagree a little bit, but I wouldn't disagree too heavily. I think that I'll just run off your points. Arizona is way more experienced, and last year in their must-win game against, they're one win away from playing UNC last year, and I was heartbroken because I wanted to see that Caleb Love
Mm-hmm.
revenge game over the
That's right.
girl, but obviously we didn't get that. I think that Caleb Love, honestly, even though he's been having a terrible, not terrible, but a little bit of a downgrade every year, I think he'll learn from his mistakes because last year he was taking some terrible shots in that game to try and get his team back. He absolutely disappeared. I think that he could probably get it done. I won't disagree with you. In the grand scheme of things, in my own bracket, I'd probably take Duke, but I I'm not against taking Arizona.
All right, let's go Arizona then. And then BYU, Alabama. BYU, as good of a shooting team as they are, I
Yeah.
I don't think they have the defense to be able to stop a team like Alabama. I'm going Alabama to the Elite Eight.
Yep. Took the words out of my mouth. Couldn't agree more.
All right, Caleb Love taking on Alabama here. I've got Alabama. What do you think?
I also have Alabama. As much as I would love to see my goat Caleb Love go on a run to the Final Four, I just don't think it's sustainable at the rate that Alabama can play. Like they're just the Alabama team is kind of scary, honestly. If I was lined up against them, I saw them as my next opponent, they'd keep me up at night. They're just They're just so skilled, so good. They can do everything.
Yeah, let's go Alabama in this one, and we'll see them later as well when we move on to the Final Four. Let's go over to the Midwest here. Um, Houston, is it a question again? I
No,
don't think we're seeing any 16 ones
I do
this
not
year.
either. I mean, to be fair, I don't think anyone saw that Purdue one or the Virginia one coming either, but I would
No,
be
but
especially shocked this year, especially with
yeah.
the introduction of NIL.
All right, Gonzaga, Georgia here. Gonzaga, they've had a bit of a weird year this year. What's their record against top 25 teams? Yeah, 3-3 against top 25 teams. But you look over at Georgia, 4 and
4 and
10.
10.
I like Gonzaga in this one.
I 100% agree. Do you know what Georgia finished in the SEC?
Um, I actually don't. Did this say here?
No, it didn't.
They were 8 and 10 in the SEC.
Yeah, probably not good. I would
No.
also give it to Gonzaga. They find a way, it seems to, every year. I don't think I've ever seen them lose in round one off the
Yeah,
top of my
no.
head.
No, I can't think of a time that they've lost in round one either.
We're hopefully not missing some legendary upset that we're both forgetting. But
Yeah. And shout out to Andrew Nemhard.
yep, Canadian boy.
Oh yeah. Um, Clemson, McNeese State. Now you were showing me some videos that have been going around social media of McNeese State's. What is
Manager.
he? Is he manager, vibes guy?
He's their student manager,
Oh, okay.
Amir Ora Khan.
Is
I love
he
it.
is he gonna get the vibes up in the room before the game high enough to take down Clemson?
See, I really hope so. And my brain and heart are telling me McNeese, but my gut is telling me Clemson. I'll stick to my brain. I'll give it to McNeese.
I'm also with your brain. I'm going McNeese as well. I really like this team. I picked them to upset last year. They didn't end up doing it, but you look, they've got better defense, better offense. I mean, their strength of schedule is obviously way worse, but
Oh,
but you know, I like this team.
the
They can shoot.
the one thing that does scare me about McNeese, if you go back,
Oh yeah.
they're 0-2 against top 25 teams. They don't really have the
Yeah.
experience, and with their strength of schedule, and when they did get there, they didn't win. Historically, that points towards teams that get a lot of hype losing in round one. But Amir Orakan, I'm not picking against you, dude.
Now, Purdue High Point.
Now, this is my 13-4 that I am taking. I
Okay.
think High Point can get it done against Purdue. Purdue, historically terrible in March. Every time I pick them, they let me down. Last year, I didn't pick them, and then they let me down again. I am a Purdue truther, and the truth is they suck.
Without Zach Edey, they definitely don't look the same. They can't just chuck the ball into the post and have Zach Edey tower over every other team's center
Nope.
for easy buckets. But
There's nothing I
I
like
would
more than that 12-13 in the second round.
I personally would go Purdue, but I like the 12-13, like you said. So yeah, we'll give it to High Point here. Now Texas, Illinois versus Texas or Xavier. Who are you taking in this one?
I don't know. I'm struggling to pick this one when I sat down and looked at my own bracket. I think I have to think that Texas is going to beat Xavier, just the firepower.
I would agree. Yeah.
But then again, Xavier could also beat Texas. I think if Texas beats Xavier, Texas is beating Illinois, but I think if Xavier beats Texas, Illinois is going to win. So I don't really know. I'll let you make the call on this one.
That's what I would say as well. I completely agree with that. I think Texas has enough firepower to beat Illinois, but I think I'm going to play it safe here, and I'm going to go Illinois over whoever wins between Texas and Xavier.
That's fair.
All right, Kentucky versus Troy.
Uh,
Another team that tends to choke in Kentucky.
Yes, they do tend to choke. However, they do not have Coach Calipari anymore. So I think that they are going to
True.
rid of their demons, and I think that they can beat a 14 seed this year. Might be a hot take, but I think they can get it done this year.
Moving on to UCLA and Utah State. Who do you got in this one, Cam?
Uh, I'm having trouble. I mean, obviously, it's the first round. It's the hardest round to pick because there's so many close games. Actually, I don't even know if that's a fair statement to make. There's just the most games. But I kind of want to give it to Utah State because there was a lot of rumors of them getting snubbed by the committee, and I think that they'll have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, thinking that people thought we weren't good enough, and that if a team was going to get snubbed, it was going to be us. I think they could go in to beat UCLA. Now, obviously, we're looking at the record and their strength of schedule against top 25s. UCLA has the better resume, but Utah State's undefeated against the top 25 here. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I like their offense. They've got a solid defense as well. I'll give it to you. Yeah, I'll take Utah State here. Tennessee Wofford. Now
Wofford.
you're going Wofford.
No, I was going to say Wofford here every year never wins a game.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's just too good. They're probably one of my favorites to have a shot at going on and winning this year. So yeah, I think Tennessee is the no-brainer pick here.
Yep, 100%.
Now let's move on to the round of 32. Houston Gonzaga.
I
I mean,
personally,
Houston, their defense is elite.
oh yeah, for sure. They're elite every year, but I just struggle to believe in that Houston team because every single year, I think they actually made the Final Four in 2019, if my memory serves me correctly. No, I don't know. They made the Final Four. Maybe it's
Mhm.
2021, but and they weren't supposed to make it or something like that. And then every year they're supposed to make it, I feel like they just never get done. But uh, I don't know, Gonzaga. I want to go Gonzaga. Call me crazy. I want to go Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the points per game here. Gonzaga's putting up 86. Houston's only allowing 58. Like it's a pretty weird matchup. Like it's a really strong defensive team versus a really strong offensive team. I guess you believe that Gonzaga can outscore Houston's defense? Like,
I think when expectations are lowest, Gonzaga will pull through. That is my hunch. That or not my hunch, like my gut feeling, just kind of what
yeah.
I mean, there's a bit of a vibes pick, I can't lie, but I think Gonzaga can do it. I don't know. I'll give
Yeah,
you the final call here.
I don't hate that pick. I'll take it. We'll move Gonzaga on to the Sweet 16. Now that 12-13 seed matchup that we wanted to see, McNeese State versus High Point here. I think McNeese State is moving on.
Yep, 100% agree. Amir Ora Khan, take me to the promised land.
Perfect. McNeese State, Gonzaga meeting up in the Sweet 16. That'll be a fun matchup. But
Hmm.
first, let's get to Illinois, Kentucky here. I would probably go Kentucky
Yep,
if I'm being honest.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just take a look at their resumes. Kentucky 8-5 against top 25 teams versus Illinois is 5-7.
It's interesting that
Kentucky's got the
Kentucky
better offense.
has the third best strength of schedule too.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're an SEC school, and SEC teams are riddled
Unreal.
throughout this tournament. Yeah, like it's been an unbelievable basketball conference this year. So, yeah, I think we're both in agreement that Kentucky's moving past Illinois.
Yep.
Tennessee, Utah State. I
Uh,
am going to say Tennessee, but
yep.
I'm curious what you think.
I think Tennessee, much like Alabama, I think they're just a force to be reckoned with. I think
Mhm.
if they start rolling, watch out. So
Yeah,
If I was a coach of Kentucky or Illinois or any of those teams that I could see them in the Sweet 16, I would probably be looking past my matchup a little bit and also getting ahead on Tennessee.
For sure. All right, now we're going on to the Sweet 16, Gonzaga versus McNeese State. I doubt a lot of people have this as their Sweet 16 matchup. Um, I think this is where McNeese State vibes are dead after the game because they just lost to Gonzaga.
I won't hate on that. I won't hate on that pick. I think Gonzaga, if they're going to get to the Sweet 16, they're going to get to the Elite Eight. I don't think that there's a way where they make the Sweet 16 and don't make it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Whether they played Purdue, High Point, Clemson, I think they're moving on.
Yeah, I think they're a favorite against any of those teams in any matchup, whether it's first round, second round, third round, fourth round, or anywhere.
Now Tennessee, Kentucky, a 2-3 seed, a little bit boring again, but who do you got here?
I'm taking Tennessee. I'm not going to think twice about it. I think, like I've already said, Tennessee's rolling. I would be scared.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I think it's Tennessee over Kentucky. Kentucky, like Duke, younger team, they tend to choke in these big tournaments. So
Yep.
I would go Tennessee here as well. Now, Gonzaga, Tennessee. Moving on. Who's moving on to the Final Four? I am going to say Tennessee.
Yep.
Would you agree? Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty high on this Tennessee, much like that Alabama. I'm high on Tennessee. I think that we're going to see some SEC, a lot of it, in the Final Four.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we'll get back to them later as well as we move on to the West here. Florida versus Norfolk State. Florida.
Yeah.
It's not really a question. It's Florida.
Yep.
So we can move on to the 8-9 matchup here. This is going to be a really interesting one for me. UConn, Oklahoma. Jeremiah Fears, point guard for Oklahoma. He's a dog, man.
Mm-hmm.
But UConn has that championship pedigree. They've won the last two. Where are you leaning here?
I have UConn. I think that UConn is just one of those teams that doesn't matter where they're seated. They're as dangerous as a 1 seed. They could be the 12th seed, and they're as dangerous as a 1 seed. No matter how their season's gone, I think that Coach Hurley is going to have them all mentally in the right place. And however he does it, he's a little bit of a scary guy. I don't know if I'd want to play for him personally, but I think that those guys respond well to him, and he'll get the correct message through to them that, hey guys, it's March. Like, let's go. Like, I know we've had our ups and downs, but let's go.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And if you ask Dan Hurley, he's the best coach in this sport. So you got to pick the best coach in this sport, right?
100%.
UConn. Memphis, Colorado State. I will start this off by saying I am a huge Memphis hater. I don't think Penny Hardaway is a good basketball coach. He was a great player. He is not a good coach. Colorado State is on such a heater coming into the tournament. I've got Colorado State, but I want to know what you think. Do you disagree with Colorado State over Memphis?
I do not disagree. I did give a little bit more thought into it, perhaps, than you did. I'm not necessarily a Memphis hater. I wouldn't call myself a Memphis believer, though. I think that the only year I kind of believed in Memphis was 2020 with James Wiseman. And then obviously we never got that tournament, and James Wiseman wasn't even there, so I wouldn't pick them anyway. But for about 4 games, however many James Wiseman was there, that's the only time I was a Memphis believer. I also would love to take Colorado State to the round of 32.
Yeah, I think Wiseman only played 3 games that season, and Amani Bates was a Memphis Tiger as well.
Yep.
Moving on to Maryland Grand Canyon. I think Maryland's too dominant. Derek Queen, he's also could be a lottery pick this year. Big 6'10" center. I think that's going to be too much for Grand Canyon here.
Oh, 100%. Every year, Grand Canyon, just like I've said about a few other teams, like Wofford, Grand Canyon always makes it. They always get me so excited, except not like Wofford. The Grand Canyon gets me excited. They're my Cinderella. They always freaking lose. So this is going to be the year they win because I'm picking against them.
Yeah, exactly. Missouri Drake here. Drake, best defense in the country. I think Drake's got this one.
I won't disagree. I think that Missouri maybe deserves a little bit more of a thought from you, but I will be 2% shocked if Drake beats Missouri.
Too bad he can't beat Kendrick Lamar.
All
Um,
right, dude.
Texas Tech and UNC Williamson. Texas
uh,
Tech.
UNC Williamson.
Did I
Uh,
even get that right? I don't even know if I got that right, if I'm
I
being
was
honest.
about to say, if you got that wrong, I wouldn't be able to tell you. uh, we're going to be wrong on this because we're making fun of them. So
Yeah.
don't clip this, please, UNCW, Texas Tech.
Kansas, Arkansas. We were just talking about Coach Cal a little bit ago about how he's a choker. I think Kansas is a bit of frauds. I watched them play BYU and they got run out of the gym. I think Arkansas can do that same thing. Boogie Fland, good point guard. He's going first round in this year's draft. I've got Arkansas over Kansas. Do you agree or disagree?
I would have to disagree. However, I do find it interesting because Coach Cal can never get it done against teams that are worse than him. Now, Kansas is historically a team that is better than them. Can he get it done against them? Probably, especially because I've seen a lot of Kansas film and they just do not, they just don't get me excited at all.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would go Kansas. I don't think Coach Cal can get it done. However, I do not think. Well, I'll get there. I'll get there. I think it'd go Kansas. Up to you though. Your pick.
We can go Kansas here. Um, Hunter Dickinson will have to do a little bit of carrying, but he's good enough to do it. So yeah, I'm okay taking Kansas over Arkansas here. St. John's, Omaha.
Okay. Now, you can call me insane. Omaha is beating St. John's.
All right.
Rick Pitino is not a good coach. Omaha is going to win. They're going to beat up St. John's like they beat up those garbage cans after the games. Am I doing this out of factual? Maybe not. But Omaha is going to beat St. John's.
Now here we look at the shooting splits here. This is where I would agree with you. St. John's cannot shoot the three. They can't make free throws, and their field goal percentage is terrible. If Omaha can kind of stay with them, they might be able to close it out. I will go. I'm going St. John's, but I'm going to take Omaha here for you just because I would love to see a 15-2 upset.
And to my friend David watching, I can't believe you picked St. John's to win your bracket.
I mean, we know David. Shout out to David, but the basketball IQ is not very high.
No, not even close.
Florida, UConn here. Can UConn keep going, or do you think Florida stops them?
I am really on a fence here because I can see both scenarios just as clearly. I think that I don't know. I off the top of my head I can't remember which one seed is ranked fourth, like the lowest one seed. But in my opinion, Florida is the weakest one seed. Uh, that might be a bad take. I don't care. Call me out in the comments section. All right. You, I think that UConn is going to just. I don't know. They have the championship pedigree. I'm having a hard time picking against UConn. I don't know. They remind me a lot of that UNC team that was the 8 seed that went all the way to the finals. Maybe I'll get your thoughts on this. I don't know. I
You know,
think that UConn can get it done.
I really like Florida in this matchup. I think UConn just they've struggled too much. They're pretty questionable at point guard right now. Like I think Florida gets it done. Florida has guards that can defend and can shoot. UConn, they're I'm not sold on them. I think their struggles are going to catch up to them in this matchup. They might have got screwed over by getting an 8 seed and having to play Florida here in the round of 32, but I think I would take Florida.
All right. Are you going to pick against solo ball? All name team in college basketball.
I think I have to in this one, but yes, that is one of the best names in college basketball this year. Colorado State, Maryland. Colorado State coming into this game after beating Memphis on an 11-game winning streak. I think it ends there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I don't think historically there's usually more than one 12 seed in the Sweet 16. We already have McNeese in the Sweet 16. I really don't think there will be two 12 seeds in the Sweet 16. Yeah. I am the pick master after all, so.
Now we've got Drake, Texas Tech. I like Drake in this one as well.
Yep. I can't disagree with you there. I wouldn't call them the favorites, but I would say that a 7-game series, I'm giving it to Texas Tech in 6. So there's 2 games there where I think Drake can get it done over Texas. Is that going to be one of the 6? I don't know. We can give it to him though.
Yeah, I think I would give it to them. Obviously, JT Toppin, he's one of the best bigs in college basketball. But yeah, I think I'm going to take Drake here. Let's move on to Kansas, Omaha. Does Omaha continue their Cinderella?
Omaha is the St. Peter's of this year. Omaha is going to beat Kansas. Hunter Dickinson is a fraud. Hunter Dickinson had an insanity run. Hunter Dickinson's college career ends in the round of 32.
All right, I'm okay with that. I'm willing. I didn't like Kansas over Arkansas, so I'm willing to go Omaha over Kansas here. Florida, Maryland. I actually really like this matchup. I think this one's going to be a pretty exciting game. I'm pretty torn over who I think is going to win, though. I'll let you actually decide this one on your own.
Can you pull up the thing? All right. Now I'm looking at this and I'm seeing net rank 10, net rank 4, but I'm seeing that 5-5 and 8-2. I think that Florida, as the 1 seed, is going to get here, and the SEC is so strong this year. The storybook all year has been about the SEC, SEC, SEC. I think that story will continue. I think that Florida's too strong, especially if they can get past UConn. I think that they can get past a team like Maryland. It'll be, in my opinion, it'll be worse coached, and in Dan Hurley's opinion too.
Drake, Omaha. I actually really like this matchup. I think this would be so much fun to see in the Sweet 16. Who do you 100%. Have, Drake or Omaha?
I'm a history major at the University of the Fraser Valley, and history repeats itself. Omaha, St. Peter's this year. Omaha to the Elite 8.
All right, I'm down with it. I think, we took a look at both these teams' shooting metrics already. Omaha, I mean, they can shoot. They're 49th in the country in 3-point percentage. Drake's defense, they got to crumble at some point, and I guess Omaha's the team they do it against.
Remember the name, Markel Sutton. Remember the name.
Florida, Omaha now. I mean, I can't go Omaha here. No. If you have a great argument for it, we can do it, but I got to give Florida this one.
I agree.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, history repeats itself. St. Peter's made it to the Elite 8, and that was it. How awesome would it be to see Omaha in the Final Four? It would be absolutely unbelievable. But somehow we've ended up with a 4-team, 4 SEC Final Four. But that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, now let's move on to the Final Four here. Kind of boring. 2 1 seeds, 2 seeds. But March Madness can be boring.
That's how it is, all right? We don't get a UNC as an 8 seed in the finals every year. You don't get a what team? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking. NC State 12 seed to the Final Four every year. Rock chalk.
All right, let's start with Auburn, Florida here. Let's take a look at their metrics just next to each other here. Auburn, better net rank, better strength of schedule, but Florida has the edge against top 25 teams, and they have more points per game and allow less points per game.
Who has the head-to-head advantage here? Auburn versus Florida basketball. I cannot remember off the top of my head.
No, I can't either.
Florida beat Auburn in their most recent matchup on February 8th by 9 points.
Okay.
That is definitely something interesting. I believe that each team was at full strength. I could be wrong, but that is definitely telling. Neither team really had any guy explode offensively. Florida had 5 guys in double digits, and 3 out of those 5 guys had 16 or more points. Auburn had 4 guys in double digits, with all 4 guys having 13 or more points. Definitely interesting. I think that is the only time they've met all year. And it is interesting to note that during that game, Florida was the higher seed, and that was only Auburn's second loss of the year. Like I said earlier on in the episode, I am a Auburn fan, so I am a little bit biased here. So maybe I'll pass this pick off to you, because I just cannot see myself picking against Auburn if that is the direction that you are leaning.
Yeah, I am leaning Florida. You talk about their last matchup. I think Florida's just too deep. They're really looking like my favorites for taking the whole thing. So I would lean Florida here. I did pick Auburn, like I said earlier, in my first bracket that I've done, but my main bracket, I'm probably going to go Florida for the win. So I think I'm going to take them here and put them onto the championship game.
All right, now that you've made the pick, let me just say I think Auburn can make the championship game unless they run into Florida. If they run into Florida, I'll be more than a little bit worried. I'll be really worried. But before we make our next pick, can we just appreciate how awesome this Final Four would be? I mean,
Oh yeah.
They should hire us as script writers here. Although they call us unreal SEC bias. I mean, Auburn,
Yeah,
Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. You should make them do a football game and then a basketball game right after. It would be unreal.
the next college football playoff could be looking like this too.
Yep.
Alabama, Tennessee. I mean, these are two elite offenses.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, you look at that 91 points per game though from Alabama. That's insane for college basketball.
Oh yes, but
Number one
interesting.
strength of schedule as well.
Just 16 days ago, Tennessee did beat Alabama by 3, 79-76.
It is hard to beat a team twice though.
That is true. I'm trying to see if they have squared off more than once. Let me just look it up here.
While you're looking that up, like I said, it is hard to beat a team twice. Like the shout out I gave off the top of the show to UVic over winning their U Sports National Championship over Calgary. They lost to Calgary in their conference semifinal just a couple weeks before that matchup, and then took down Calgary handedly. So I think it's going to be the same case here with Alabama. In the bigger game, they're going to find a way to squeeze one out over Tennessee. But
yes,
I'll let you take it away here. You let me make last pick. You can make this one.
All right. After doing some further research, I think that Alabama will get it done over Tennessee. Like you said, hard to beat a team twice. This Alabama team has, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be way off. I might be having a brain fart here, but I'm pretty sure they were in the Final Four last year. And they will have that experience. I can't remember where Tennessee's tournament ended last year, but I just think that that Alabama team, especially if their offense gets hot, they're an absolute force to be reckoned with.
I 100% agree. All right. We're here in the championship game. It's Monday, April 7th, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Who comes out with the national championship?
In this specific matchup, I am going to have to give it to Florida. Although I'm going to contradict myself immediately by saying Florida just beat Alabama, and it's hard to beat a team twice. This game just simply was not close. Florida absolutely dominated the second half, putting up 57 points, winning the second half by 20, 104 to 82. I mean, it is just. I think this is a bad matchup for a lot of teams, this Florida team. And I think that if Florida can get past UConn, I really struggle to see a team that can beat them. The only reason I say that UConn might be able to beat them is simply coaching. Other than that, I have to give it to Florida.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I hate doing brackets where I have a 1 seed winning, especially my main bracket, but
Yep.
I'd have to give it to Florida here as well. I think they're too deep. They have 3 guards that can play elite offense and defense. They're going to wreak havoc on this tournament, and I would be shocked if they don't at least make the Final Four, and they are my favorites to win the national championship as well.
Yep. And then again, in a football stadium, when everyone's used to their depth perception of a basketball stadium, anything can happen. But I think that this Florida team, if they get past Auburn, they get past UConn. I mean, geez, wow, just wow. Well, 3 words, wow.
100%. Yeah. Well, there you have it. We got the Florida Gators coming out on top, taking down Alabama in the finals, a full SEC Final Four. For Cam Connolly, I'm Jacob Fraser, and this is Ball Don't Lie. Thank you for listening.
Peace.